Survival and survival horror games are the flavour of the month, and later on in the show we'll be taking a look at the downloadable title I Am Alive. But right now, let's get to Alan Wake's American Nightmare.
Hex, if there's one thing Alan Wake knows, it's that you can never trust anyone in the dark.
Bajo, are we really doing this again?
Obviously, it's tradition.
Get back in your chair.
All right.
I'm gonna tell you a secret. There are places in our world where fiction and dreams can come true.
American Nightmare is a downloadable game from the same developer as the original Alan Wake. It's not a sequel, it's more like a spin-off game where Alan is stuck in his own fiction. He's hot on the tails of his doppelganger, Mr. Scratch, who is taking over his life in the real world. They've purposefully made this feel like a Twilight Zone episode, right to the extent where they imitate the same voice of those classic TV shows.
If he's aware of the absurdity of arming oneself with a few sentences and standing against a power that can pierce time itself, he doesn't show it.
Hex, as a huge fan of those classic black and white Twilight Zone episodes, I don't know, I felt like this might have been the wrong choice here. It felt less of a homage and more of an uninspired copy.
Yeah, the original game really had its own identity, you know, it was so distinct. It felt like a good Hitchcock movie, or as you said, an episode of Twilight Zone. But this one just, I don't know, it just had a different tone, and I think they had more limitations when creating it because it was a downloadable title, and well, fans will notice the difference straight away.
Yeah, this is definitely all about the action, and the action is solid, but it is missing that wonderful setup for each section that the original game had. Plus, Alan Wake still runs like a big herpaderp. There are three main locations in this game: the Motel Highway, the Observatory, and the Drive-In. Each is quite large and open, so you have a decent amount of freedom. As you walk around completing objectives, you'll run into some strange characters who are part of the plot you're currently involved in.
Are you gonna hurt me now? 'Cause you should.
Lady, you got darkness on the brain.
Very little of this plot makes sense. I found it really hard to follow, and all of these characters are really just there to give you a collect mission, then you go back to them and go off and do another one.
I'm gonna take care of this. Try to stay calm.
But of course, along the way, you'll have heaps of exciting moments fighting the Taken.
Wait. Whoa!
These are people who have the darkness all over them, and you need to burn it off with your torch before you can take them down. I still found all of this combat engaging, Hex.
Yeah, and the camera has this wonderfully loose feel to it, and yeah, those levels were a lot wider than I was expecting, so I thought the action had a really good flow to it. Also, when you dodge an enemy, those slow motion effects are just thrilling to watch. Such responsive controls, Bajo.
Yeah, and everything just works and feels right. Although, I think it's a fair criticism to say that it's not much fun being warned every time an enemy is approaching.
You're like a little hamster in a wheel.
But I do like it how the camera pulls back and the music kicks in and makes everything all stressful. And all the lighting effects and flares going off make every fight spectacular to watch. And you do feel awesome when you're gunning down that last purged demon. Yeah, take it, demon.
Possessed furniture and objects return, but overall I thought there was a really nice variety to the enemies. In particular, I really liked that flock of birds that transform into scary golems.
By the end, Hex, I was completely disappointed with this game. It's only 4 hours long, which is okay for a downloadable title such as this, but so much of it is repeat content. And the way they get away with it is they call it a time loop.
Well, here we go again.
You're stuck in this time loop, which is a way for them to send you back to these areas again and again.
I remember our previous encounters very clearly now.
By the second time loop, I was sick of it.
Let me just try one more time at the risk of sounding like a broken record.
By the third time loop, I was over this game. You're much better off with the original Alan Wake if you haven't played it, or even the DLC that came out, which was quite good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Bajo, on this one. And I also thought it was quite easy right until the very end. There's just ammo everywhere. I mean, the only saving grace is that wave mode, which is quite stressful and really features some nice environments.
Morning brings salvation.
And it's just a shame that it really wasn't in the single-player campaign. Bajo, lightsabers have nothing to do with Alan Wake. Sit back down. Ow!
I I think what's happened here is they've taken away all the stuff that made Alan Wake so unique, all that wonderful storytelling, and that's the stuff I love the most about the game, so I didn't have a very good time here. If that wave mode had some sort of multiplayer component, I'd be all over this, but as it stands, I'm giving it 5 out of 10 rubber chickens. Nice flannel physics, though.
I'm giving it 6 out of 10. Ow! Stop hitting me with it!